Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Modern Customer Podcast. I'm your host, Blake Morgan. I'm recording this in mid-May. My birthday's coming up, and I'm throwing a huge birthday party for myself and my 2-year-old son, Noah, because our birthday's only 3 days apart. And I'm so excited because I haven't had a party in many, many years. So we're going to have a big backyard barbecue. We're getting a taco stand catered. So that is some fun stuff going on in my life. Today we are talking about a topic we don't cover a lot, but there's definitely huge interest in it, and that is customer success. So today, to talk about how to do customer success right, we have Emilia M. She is the co-author of the book Pressing On as a Tech Mom. She is also the founder and managing director of GrowthMolecules, a management consulting firm focused on customer support and success. The company's mission is to help organizations increase profit while maximizing value to customers. And that's what we're talking about today, because so many of you want to know, what is customer success? How do I do it well? What's the difference in the definitions among customer success, customer service, customer experience? So we're going to break all of that down for you today. Let's get to this special episode about customer success. Emilia, welcome to the Modern Customer Podcast. So excited to have a fellow mom here all the way from Sonoma County. How are you doing today?
I'm well. Thank you so much for having me, Blake.
Yeah. When I heard about your book, I just had to have you on the show. So today we are going to talk about moms, about being a working mom in tech, but you have all this incredible experience in customer success, and a lot of our listeners do exactly that for work. They focus on customer experience. They're practitioners, change agents, every day struggling with all the things that we know about customer service and working in an industry that can be seen as a cost center. So let's just hear the story first of how you came to start your customer success consulting firm, and then I want to get into your book.
All right. I started in tech by accident. I was living in British Columbia, Canada, and drove to where I thought I might want to live, which was Santa Monica, but stopped in San Francisco and just fell in love with the tech scene here. So fast forward 20-ish years, customer success was born somewhere in there. And I was invited by the founder of JobVite to join as their first customer success, pretty much everything. I did everything from support, renewals, customer success, training, all of it. And so from there, I just never left. I love the customer experience and really changing the conversation about what is growth and sales, because really it happens in the customer success arena. And so 4 years ago, I left WalkMe, which was the last place I was part of full time, and started consulting. And so that's how Growth Molecules was born.
So tell us about the GrowthMolecules team, how many people you have, what kind of work you guys do.
Yeah. So we do a variety of things. One, we have an academy. This was born out of companies coming to us and saying, we have all these great people with lots of talent in our specific industry, whether it's solar, chemical engineering, something in SaaS essentially that we have brought them in for, but they now need to be trained in customer success. So I built 16 programs along with others I've pulled in. There are about 16 of us now, and we're global. And so the academy was born out of the need from customers. And what I'm passionate about is doing assessments. So going into an organization, looking at the customer experience, the customer success and support programs, and then building their playbooks. So typically we do an assessment, then we build their playbooks, whether it's CS operations, customer success, expansion, all the different playbooks that you might need. we also recently became certified as Gainsight partners. So we also help now implement Gainsight as a product, but also others. We're agnostic. We work with all customer success platforms and we help them optimize the experience. The last thing we do is we get a lot of requests to come in as fractional vice presidents. So we'll come in, work for 2 to 6 months and help replace ourselves while building strategy and scale for the organization. So we are definitely on our toes and doing lots of different things that we're passionate about and what we've done in corporate, but now we're doing it at scale for many organizations.
So this next question is something that our audience asks quite a bit, and there doesn't seem to be a clear answer or one definition for this question. What is the difference between customer success and customer service?
Yeah, so I get this question too, and then you throw in what is the difference between those two and customer experience. And there is a difference between the three. So customer success, the reason it was born, I believe, is because there was a need to proactively enable customers to get the most out of their investment. So sales sells something, it's not something you download and keep forever, like on premise pre 97, but rather it's something that you keep finding impact and value from. And if you don't, you go to a competitor, you just abandon it and go back to spreadsheets, for example. And so that is customer success, proactively enabling the customer, understanding what are their goals, what does success look like for a year from now, and how can we be partners in this relationship so that you continue to renew and get the most out of this experience. Customer support, on the other hand, is typically enabling customers when they're stuck. And support can be many different things. It can be in application support. So I worked at WalkMe for 3+ years. That product lives in your product, regardless of what it is, as long as it's online. It's a snippet of code that will walk you through the experience. As well, it can be a knowledge base. It can be contacting support at a company to get help. It can be you're locked out of your account. So something that is more reactive is how I would explain support. And those are the differences, proactive versus reactive.
Absolutely. So you said renew, Emilia. So I assume a lot of the companies you're helping are subscription-based businesses. Does that mean they're all software companies, or how would you describe them?
Yeah, not necessarily. We work with companies as well that also they work with the business, but also they have impact or influence on the customer experience. An example of that is a hotel. You may have a group of hotels that you're working with, and you're working with those sub owners of those hotels, and then they're delivering the experience to the customer. You can't just look at the B2B, but then what is the customer experience? What is the result of whatever it is you're creating at the headquarters? So we work with a variety of companies, not just SaaS, software as a service, or business to business.
Yeah, the explosion of membership-based products is incredible to me. Like, even I'm seeing this with shopping for furniture, like Restoration Hardware. It doesn't even make sense to not be a member. And they plan it that way. Like the member pricing, if you even just buy one product and become a member, then it makes more sense than just buying a product and not being a member. So it's really about that relationship. They're trying to, it seems like, engender loyalty, and every company just seems to be trying to make that move toward having members.
Yes, even your local hair salon, nail salon, whatever it is, they have a program where if you're a member and you're paying on a regular cadence. I finally succumbed to one. I just know that every month something comes out of my bank account, and whether I use the service or not, they have me hooked in. So yes, everyone's catching on. It's not just a B2B model, but a B2C.
Yeah, absolutely. And we've had Ali Webb from Dry Bar on the show. And I
Oh,
even
yeah.
went recently and got my hair blown out. And, I was thinking, membership based. Do I even have time to come here 4 times a month to make this worth it? But yeah, this membership based trend I don't see going away, because there's just so many options that these retailers, all kinds of companies, are just having to find ways to like hook people in and not force loyalty, but in a way like force loyalty. Like, you need to spend time with us, because studies show that the more time customers spend with a company, the more obviously money they'll spend.
It's true. I recently spoke with Ziv Pilad. He's the chief customer officer of Apps Flyers, and he's been there for 9 years. I think the company's maybe 9 or 10 years old. And when we were discussing his ideal customer profile, he said, "Well, they're marketers. They stay at their company for 1.7 years ish, and then they leave. And if they have a really good experience with your product, guess who they call when they go to their next company?" So I have clients, he said, that are now on their fourth company in 9 years, and they keep coming back. That's customer loyalty. You're definitely doing something right.
What are one of the biggest mistakes that people make with customer success?
The biggest mistake people make is expecting their leaders to be able to do everything, failing to ask for help. So, expecting your vice president to know to be hiring, which is one of their main jobs, then building playbooks, then assessing, being a therapist often for their team and their customers, putting out fires. They are just doing all these things. Oh, and they want us to be operation managers implementing tech on the back end as well. You're basically setting them up for failure. And one report I read is the average leader in customer success lasts about 9 months.
Oh,
And I didn't believe it until it happened to me. Just the expectations were absolutely, I knew I was setting up for failure, and we just agreed that this wouldn't work out. And so I don't feel bad about it. I was absolutely relieved that we were parting ways, because I knew that the expectations and the quality would not match. And I don't like producing work that isn't of high quality.
so
So I
why,
think that's one of the biggest failures.
Amelia, why is there so much dysfunction in customer success where the retention of leaders is 9 months?
Yeah. Well, I will tell you, a CEO who contacted me for support to help his organization said, "I view customer success as the ugly stepchild in the organization. It's something I have to deal with."
Right.
And there was a pause. What was going through my mind was, do I even want to work with this person?
Mm.
I'm lucky I'm at the point in my career where I can choose my clients. And if it's something that goes against my ethics, or I truly believe that no matter what we do, there'll be dissatisfaction, I can walk away from it. But unfortunately, not everyone can, and they have to stay with their jobs until they can find another job. And it's really unfortunate. It's impacting mental well-being. I think COVID has changed that, and people have more empathy, but people also have more choice. So they're absolutely fine leaving after a few months if it's the wrong culture and the wrong expectations. And just seeing my network on LinkedIn, I'm seeing this more and more. People are changing jobs more often the higher they climb the ladder, because they're less willing to set themselves up for failure.
Right. I mean, you said it. The CEO says customer success is the ugly, literally ugly stepchild. And that is a failed organization, because in my own research, it seems that the companies that are the most customer centric, the CEO is drinking the Kool-Aid. The CEO cares so deeply about customer experience, and they appoint a CXO of some kind that has actual power and influence to make change. So when customer success is done right, is beautiful, you have high retention numbers of leaders, how would you paint that picture? What does it look like?
Yeah, so it's setting up an operational foundation for your organization early. We're working with a company right now the head of customer success and experience called us in early, I think 6 weeks into her role, and said, I'm drinking from a fire hose.
Mm.
I need a strong operations program to enable my team because I'm going to double or triple the size of it over the next year. And so being able to acknowledge that I can't be everything and I'm going to call in people who have done this and can quickly implement programs is what best in class looks like, instead of saying, I can do it all. So being able to delegate, making sure you start with operations and a foundation. And the reason I say that is we have customer success professionals who privately contact us and ask for private coaching. They'll say, we just went through a week of training on a product. Now they've thrown us an executive business review and they want us to host it, but I don't know how. Can you help me? And so I think enabling your team is another way that you can also help your team be really successful. And that's what I'm seeing the best leaders do. They have high standards for their team and they have high standards for themselves, but they also enable them.
So you mentioned that you get a lot of calls from customer success executives that need help to, in a way, how do we talk about this to the rest of the company? How do we provide an overview of our customer success operations? So I actually want to know, to follow up on what you just said, like, well, what do you tell them?
I would start with make customer success part of the go-to-market conversation. Customer success needs more than just a slide at the end of your board presentation. It should be part of your go-to-market strategy. And really, this is the difference, going back to your earlier question, where does even customer experience, where does that start? It starts when a customer says, I have a pain point. I don't know what it is, but I need a product. I want to look like a hero at my company. They're going to go Google, read case studies, do back-end checks on LinkedIn. What are people saying about you when you're not in the room? And then they're going to go through the experience and maybe become a customer. That is the conversation you need to be having with your executives about how much customer success influences that entire journey leading up to what now so many of us call opportunity close, because that's what SalesForce coined it. But it's opportunity open, because now you're having conversations with customers that are going to lead to growth, and either an advocate or one of those people who writes something poor about you online or gives a poor recommendation when someone taps them on LinkedIn and says, hey, I noticed your company's a user of this product. You're an ops. Would you recommend it?
Okay, so because you said that it's a Salesforce term, opportunity close, I've never heard that. I have a feeling a lot of our listeners have never heard it either. What does that mean?
So, and I think it's because I've grown up in the Salesforce ecosystem, but I am a HubSpot user now at my own company. But what opportunity closed means is you have an opportunity in Salesforce. It's a customer success relationship platform, a CRM, and you move your customer through a pipeline. So shows interest, validated budget, etc. Companies have different pipelines. And then at the end, if they sign the statement of work saying they're going to be your customer for a year, 5 years, however long that is, the opportunity is marked closed, and that triggers customer success to start the onboarding program.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. So it's this whole chain of events that everything has to be smooth and everyone has to be working in tandem. And I know something you help companies with is data. Keeping your data clean. It's not easy to do. It seems like so many companies just aren't doing a good job of it. Do you have any advice for our listeners and viewers out there that they want to do a better job with customer data? They want to be able to work with other departments in a very cohesive way. What advice do you have as far as customer data is concerned?
So the first thing is, do not implement a customer success platform if your data's dirty. In fact, a company hired us to implement a platform for them that they wanted to purchase. And we said, we'd like to look at your data first for hygiene to make sure we feel confident engaging in this experience, and it was so dirty that we said we're not comfortable doing this. What we recommend instead is we build a playbook. And in the meantime, we can coach your CS operations team on what we're seeing as inconsistent data so that when you're ready to purchase this platform, your data is actually going to be actionable for your CSMs. So one, if you're a mature company, invest in CS operations to clean your data. Two, become partners with your sales leaders. Figure out what does customer success absolutely need to be successful. Do they need to have at least one champion in there as a contact and a day-to-day user? Do they need to know if the product's going to be white labeled or not? How long is the contract for? What is the address if we want to send gifts? All of those things you can get early on in the statement of work. It's not going to add a lot of extra work. Companies are used to filling in things like their address. And then from there, making sure that you enable your customer success managers to understand what fields are relevant. My last advice is don't overwhelm your team with fields that you're never going to use or need. If you're using something like Gong or Chorus or Update AI to record those meetings and add them to your CRM, you don't need your CSM spending all day inputting data. That's a waste of their time. They should be building relationships with your customers.
It's not easy to build all of this stuff. It takes a lot of thought, investment. I would imagine a lot of the companies you work with are digitally native companies. Seems to me that even in interviews with Fred Reichhold, who has a new type of net promoter score where you're tracking how many people sign up through referrals. He's a big fan of membership-based companies. Seems like a lot of them are digital natives. Would you agree with that? Like the companies that are doing customer success well?
I would say it depends on what industry you're in. We work with a chemical engineering company. Their NPS is off the charts. Their net retention score is over 150%. And I don't know if traditionally this type of company was native. They're disrupting the chemical engineering, the gas oil industry. The other one we're working with is a company that has been around for 20 plus years. Now they want to go into become more digital, really understand their customers because their contracts are 5 years long. They don't want to come sweeping in at year 4 years and 10 months just for that renewal. They want to start the relationship much earlier. So I think people are jumping on the bandwagon. They've had a really high success rate, but they don't want to lose it. And I think we shouldn't discredit their good work as well.
So we're reaching the last third of the podcast. Emilia, I want to switch gears from we talked about customer success, what it means, how to do it well, leadership issues facing customer success executives. I want to switch gears for the last third and talk about your book, Pressing On as a Tech Mom. What inspired you to write this book about your other job of being a mom?
Sabina, who is my co-author, and I had talked about writing for a long time. And so we did a brainstorming session about what are we both really passionate about that no one's talking about in a book. And so we did our research. We bought tons of books about women in tech and love them all. In fact, we reference them. They're on our website, pressingonbook.com, because we encourage you to read those. But what we couldn't find is a book about mothers in technology. And we didn't know if mothers were leaving or staying. Now, around COVID happened at the same time that we were brainstorming. And we decided, let's do this. Let's do it in a quantitative way where we have data. And so we sent out a survey globally. We had 318 women reply to it. They were very raw questions where people could share their own personal experiences. And then we also had questions where, did you start in tech? Did you leave tech? Why? And how many of them stayed. It was surprising. A large number did stay from our data sample. Then we went and we interviewed women that had both left tech and have stayed in tech, and the whys. So we feature these 12 women in our book, and that is what that is one. We wanted to understand, are we like alone? Is this just us, or are there other women having similar challenges? And then I'll be honest, I had my first child in my 20s, and leading up to that, I feel I had such a difficult time in tech. I
Mm,
just thought, wow, maybe this is my ticket out, having a child. Like I should try something different because I can't imagine going back to this bro culture.
right,
And
right.
so I'm glad I did. I think it's changing. There's hope. And I want to give hope to women who are thinking about becoming moms or are moms and struggling with balance. There's no such thing. Uh, but there's a way to decide what is healthy for you and what's not. And then our other persona that we wrote this book for is our leaders. They may be women and not have children. They may be men and have children or not. And they want to better understand how can they enable women, because we can be moms and we can be great leaders in technology fields.
Yeah, moms are soldiers because there's no calling in sick when you're a mom. And I mean, you have to show up for work. So I think that sometimes there's an unfair bias against moms, like, oh, they're not going to do a good job. But the truth is, like, I know for myself, after I had kids, I became such a beast in a way. I was so fierce because you just change, and you've had kids, which is the hardest thing in the world to give birth. And it just makes you so much, to me, in my opinion, it just makes you more fierce, more confident, more clear. You're less willing to put up with nonsense. And it helps everybody around you as well because it makes you a better leader.
100% agreed.
Yeah. So for the last portion of the podcast, I want to get to know you a little bit along with our viewers and listeners, Emilia. Let's do a quick rapid fire round. How does that sound?
That sounds great. Bring it on.
Yeah. Okay, great. All right. First question. If you could have lunch with anybody dead or alive, who would it be?
Probably Hillary Clinton.
Awesome. If you are stuck on an island, you have access to water, but you can bring one other food and one other drink. What are they?
Probably espresso. And I would bring to eat broccoli.
Yeah, that's very healthy. What is your most embarrassing work moment?
Probably standing up in front of a group and my shirt and covers, I was breastfeeding my daughter,
Oh,
start leaking.
oh yeah. Yeah, that'll happen. I was talking with a friend the other day of how bizarre when you hear a baby crying and your whole body just kind of starts pumping up. It's very bizarre. Um,
Yes.
what is the best music or band of all time?
Oh, wow. I don't know if I have one. Maybe Depeche Mode. I love them. Brings
Nice.
back great memories from the 80s.
Oh yeah, that Depeche Mode is amazing. If you had $1 billion, what would you do with it first?
Figure it out how I can share it with others because I don't need $1 billion.
That's a great, succinct, to the point answer. Love that. And lastly, what is one tool that you used during COVID for personal or professional growth?
Oh, Apple Podcasts. It was just so great to be going hiking in the mountains and listen to podcasts or download books. I listened to a ton of books during COVID just to like break up everything that was happening.
That's such a good answer. I know. I love podcasting. I've been podcasting for a while, but it's only been recently that I've been a big consumer of podcasts. My favorite is The Armchair Expert. If anybody is listening and wants to try a new awesome podcast. Amelia,
Oh, I'll
thank
check
you
it
so
out.
much for coming on the show. If people want to pick up a copy of your book, where can they do that?
They can go to Barnes and Noble or they can go to Amazon. It's Pressing On as a Tech Mom.
Well, I love that so much. And I think our audience and me have learned so much from you today about customer success. I hope you'll come back soon and we can talk shop and talk motherhood and tech more. And I just really appreciate you being here with me today.
Thanks for having me, Blake.
All right, all of you have been tuning into the Modern Customer Podcast. If you have time, please leave me a review on iTunes to help more people find this growing show. Until next time, thanks for tuning in.